ready, set, take off.
Ladies and gentlemen, you know that sound means it's time for another episode of A Beer and Review.
So pour it high and let it gleam. This is the podcast, Sip and Dream. Stay for the fun, we've got more to do. Oh yeah, it's A Beer and Review.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It is a Saturday night, and the boys are here for another episode of A Beer and Review. This episode 122, Sunglider and Project Hail Mary. I am your host for the evening, Luke Walker, joined as always by my two dearest friends in this whole entire world or any other world, any other galaxy. And those gentlemen are Lane Good.
Hello, everybody.
And Keith Fuchs.
What is up, boys?
What's up, boys? Well, if you're new here to A Beer and Review, what took you so long, first of all? Second of all, we're glad you're here. And if you don't know what we're doing, it's A Beer and Review. We watched a movie. We're going to review that movie. We're drinking a beer. We're going to review that beer. We're going to have a whole lot of fun along the way. But before we do any of that, boys, we must do the most important thing that we do. Because we are boys, and we love each other. And we must take our ceremonial swig together here on a Saturday evening. Cheers, boys.
Yes.
Cheers.
Mm.
And cheers,
right.
world.
Yep. Cheers to this world and all other worlds. If you're here, please take a minute. Make sure you're following us on Spotify. You know, all of the Instagrams and the Twitters. Like,
YouTube
share,
now.
comment. YouTube now. We are now presented by the Can One Live YouTube channel. I'm sure many of you are tuning in from that channel. Shout out to our boy Hunter for hosting us, getting us hooked up with the new channel. That's exciting. So we're here. Boys, how are we doing? Carl, a.k.a. Keith, how are you doing, bud?
Took me a minute. I'm doing fucking great, boys. Thrilled to be here. Been looking forward to this all day. Life's good. Can't complain.
Keith, you have a little bit of a look to you this evening with the mustache.
I'm glad that this is being brought up.
Okay, good. Let's bring it up now. Lane, are you thinking of the same gentleman that he may look like to you?
I mean, it's just a suave gentleman. I just like the mustache look, and I feel like I should have done it as well. We all should have done mustache tonight.
That's true. I wish that you had told us that you were going with this mustache right now. There's a specific gentleman that I'm thinking of, and because I've had quite a bit to drink tonight, for some reason my brain isn't working, and the name is escaping me. He's one of the most famous comedians in the world right now, so I should definitely have it.
Andrew Schultz.
No. This gentleman is
Gillis.
Shane Gillis is the one I was thinking of.
Doesn't make me feel good.
No, you would need to put on quite a few pounds to get to Shane Gillis. He's a bit of a heftier gentleman. You are a fit and strong gentleman, but like if you ate yourself right now, you'd look kind of like Shane Gillis.
Yeah, this was a very on a whim thing. I got a haircut the other day.
That's part of it. The haircut is.
And then I was taking a shower yesterday and was like, I feel like kind of getting rid of the beard. And then I said, let's keep the mustache for a few days. And it wasn't thick. I'd only been growing the beard for like a week.
Yeah.
So I just kind of rolled with it. And here we are. I have just a little quick stash. It's not very thick at the moment, but it's there.
I'm gonna have Lane.
Now that it's called the Shane Gillis, I'm probably gonna go shave it after this.
That's fine. I'm gonna have Lane do a side by side for the socials just to see if I'm crazy or not. Lane, how are you doing, my boy?
I'm doing wonderful. Another day of college basketball, one of the last ones that we have for the whole year. The Final Four was today. Michigan dominated, and UConn won a close one-ish. It's been a good day. Life is good in the new house. As you can see, I still haven't decorated much, but one day we will get there and I'll have a cool little studio for you, the podcast. But until then, I'm happy to be here with you boys, having a beer, chatting a movie that we saw in theaters together, which was really fun.
Yeah, I really like the background you got going on. Just mostly junk. It's
Yep.
great.
Mhm.
That's a choice. Well, I too, gentlemen, am doing well. It's late. I apologize to you. My children are lunatics, and they're just so hard to get to go to sleep. We're, painting Easter eggs and doing all that kind of shit tonight. Obviously, watching college basketball, watching our beloved Michigan Wolverines absolutely put boot to ass on the team that I hate the most, which is, well, you tied most with Utah State, but Arizona. As a Arizona State alumni, I hate Arizona, and I'm so happy to have seen them just get dismantled and embarrassed in the Final Four. A year where they and everyone else thought that they were the team to beat. What a joke. All right, boys, let's get into the episode. What we do first, typically, is what you've been watching before we get into this movie. Lane, what you been watching?
I'll be nice and quick this week. I watched Walk Hard, a Dewey Cox story, the extended cut, one of my prized possessions on the
Fantastic.
Blu-ray. And yeah, threw that in and just had a great time with it. I think a really underrated comedy, especially for its time. We think of the Superbads, the Anchormans is a little bit earlier, but this is the end. There's a lot of comedies that came out around then that get a lot of credit. And I think Walk Hard kind of falls under the radar but deserves to be mentioned in that same echelon of comedy and just one of my absolute favorites. Of the characters, I love John C. Riley. I love all the music. I love it. Just goes through all the eras, and it's just a wonderful journey. Walk hard.
All right, Keith, what you been watching?
Oh, love that. I have been off of work for the last couple weeks.
That's right.
Um, so this week we went to Legoland San Diego last week. This week I've been off doing, things around the house, projects, errands, that sort of thing. But I've had a lot of time. So has my wife. So in that time, I of course after the Sunday night, I was laying there, the night of the Duke and UConn Final Four game or Elite Eight game, excuse me, and I was just feeling the fucking hoops vibes, and I was scrolling through Netflix and came across The Last Dance, and decided
Nice.
to rewatch that for about the fifth or sixth time, and it's still fucking fantastic. So I've been watching that,
Yeah.
and then my wife and I started a new show, and we are through 1.5 seasons of this show. Curious to see if you guys have heard of it or even watched it yet. Paradise on Hulu.
I've heard good things.
Yeah, I haven't watched it, but I have heard
It's
people
good.
enjoy it. Yeah.
I'm thoroughly enjoying it. Like I said, there's only 2 seasons so far. The season finale for season 2 just came out the other day. We have 5 episodes left in season 2, so we're gonna finish that up real quick. I will give an update on the next episode, hopefully on my thoughts on how that ended. And then finally, we went to the movie theater on Wednesday, the three of us, to watch this movie. Well, that was the second time that day that I had been to the movie theater because we took
Oh,
our son earlier that day to the Super Mario Galaxy movie.
Mario. Excellent. How was it?
The first one was better.
All right.
First one was better, which we reviewed on this pod, if you remember.
We sure did.
But the first Super
Not
Mario
proud of it, but we did it.
Yeah, it was still good. It's cute, good for kids, funny. But the first one was, I thought the first one hit a lot more of like the old school video game Super Mario references that our generation loved, and this was more of like it's kind of a little bit of a different story. Still some video game references stuff, but the kid liked it. That's all that fucking matters. Had a
Nice.
nice big popcorn to myself. So did my kid.
There you go.
So yeah, that's what I've been watching. Been quite a busy week of watching here.
I love it. Well, I have watched, I think as far as movies, I've only really watched the only thing I've watched is the Minecraft movie.
Oh god.
Yeah,
Nice.
my children are obsessed with it, and I've only seen bits and pieces of it. It's kind of funny, actually. It's not bad. Jack Black is a fucking riot. But primarily, I've been watching Landman. I am
Still on the Landman scene kick, huh?
yeah. I mean, I'm like midway through season 2. You know, I haven't been watching it that long. It's midway through season 2. There's only 2 seasons, I believe, up to this point. It is goddamn wonderful. It is so good. It's so much fun. It's so funny, and it's just like, I don't know, man. It just scratches the itch of the prestige television without quite requiring the mental like capacity that our traditional prestige television shows require, right? Like you know when you were watching Thrones or Breaking Bad or whatever, even whatever, like you really got to be dialed in. This one you only got to be like 80% dialed in. So it's
Like
a little, you can be a little bit brainless, and it's really funny, and it's just insane and unhinged, and it's really fun, and I love it. So yeah, Landman has been my primary thing. All right, boys, let's get to our main event, shall we?
We shall.
This is Project Hail Mary, a 2026 film directed by Phil Lord and Christopher Miller. Written by some dudes, starring Ryan Gosling, Sandra Hüller, and James Ortiz, sort of, I suppose. This comes in at a nice, tight, and by tight, I say that jokingly, 2 hours and 36 minutes. This is a movie that was adapted from a book, and we went and saw it in theaters, and I will tell you what, the theater was packed.
It was, and it was great to see it. I mean, when we were kids, the rows were a lot longer, and I felt like, movie theaters could really get packed. But in today's day and age, with the shrunk theater, I think this is the busiest movie that we have seen. I mean, it was
since Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer was, but we saw Oppenheimer like premiere
2
week,
or 3 years ago, yeah,
in IMAX.
And Oppenheimer also came out at a time where it's like, clearly this is an Academy Award Best Picture type movie. It did win Best Picture. This was a movie in early April on a Wednesday night at 8:45.
Yeah, and I was pretty surprised.
And like Lane said, it's like, what are there, like 4 rows that are like above the aisle or whatever? So and each one only has maybe 10 seats or whatever. So like not a lot, but it was pretty much everyone was full, which I was definitely surprised to see. And I always love going to the movies with the boys. It's always good stuff. All right, our beer tonight, the Sunglider from Firestone. I think it's pretty easy to connect this one.
I think so too. I mean, don't even need to mention it. We're gliding through the sun to goddamn save the planet and all the other planets out there.
Yep. Lane was our beer retriever or beer guy, and fucking nailed it.
And it's not an IPA. You're welcome.
You did nail it. I really like this can. The old school look of the can is really making me happy.
It makes me think of like a Winnebago. Like that would be the name of a Winnebago, is the Sunglider.
Okay.
I like that.
Yeah. I don't hate that. Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm very happy with you on this choice. I'm very happy with the beer so far. We'll get into that a little bit more. But let's get into the plot synopsis, shall we?
Hit me with it.
Let's do it.
All right, boys. So we have Ryland Grace waking up alone on a spaceship with no memory. He's been in a induced coma, so he doesn't really know what's going on. He slowly starts to realize that his crewmates on the spaceship are dead. And he eventually figures out that he is on a mission to save Earth's sun, our sun, from a microorganism that is draining its energy. Through recovered memories, he learns that he was sent to a different system, the Tau Ceti system, because the Tau Ceti system star is the only known star that is not being affected by this microorganism. He arrives to this microorganism, and he is immediately encountered. He's kind of tracked down by an alien spaceship and an alien scientist named Rocky, who is on the same mission to study this star to figure out how to save his star in his little system. They begin to work together, and they eventually find a organism that kind of can defeat this microorganism that is killing their sons. They engineer kind of a solution that they can send back to their systems to save them. While he is returning to Earth, while Grace is returning to Earth, he figures out that Rocky is probably in trouble, and he decides that he is going to go save Rocky, send off his discoveries to Earth, let them figure it out, but he's going to go save his buddy. That is the quickest and the dirtiest that I can do. We're going to get into a lot more. Is there anything you guys want to mention on the plot before we get into some of our topics here?
I think you kind of mentioned it just in your synopsis, but I love that this is just kind of focused on one person. This is a very isolated story. I just think it's important to mention that from the rip.
Yep. All right. So here on A Beer in Review, we like to keep first things first. And the first thing that is first is Lane loves first scenes. Lane, take us through the first scene of this movie.
I would love to. This was an awesome beginning to the movie. We get just a really grizzled, hairy, dirty, I don't even want to say Jesus looking because it was dirtier than that. Just covered in hair, Ryan Gosling just being absolutely woken up. We don't know what's going on, just like the character. Anytime you can put the audience and the character in their same shoes, I think that's always a great way to start. We are slowly figuring out, okay, we're on this spaceship. Okay, the people that he's with are all dead. I think there were some like light-hearted elements to it that kind of sets off the correct tone. This isn't like a scary thing. I mean, if this were to be happening to us, we would be way more terrified. But I just think they did a really good job of making it a little bit more light-hearted because this is a fun, light-hearted movie, and they didn't really take a horror aspect. So I think even though we didn't get the most information about exactly why he was up there, it did a good job of putting us in the character's shoes and setting the tone for the movie. So I thought it was a really great opening. Let's go ahead and say 8 out of 10.
All right. Future, anything to add there?
I'm surprised you went 8 out of 10, to be honest, but it was solid. Yeah, I do like the thought of the main character and the audience starting in the same spot, trying to figure out where the hell they are. But at the same time, when he starts writing out fucking massive mathematical calculations on a whiteboard, when he supposedly doesn't have a fucking clue what's going on, that's a little something. But it comes together. Obviously, he's waking up. He's still the same guy. He just, he's got to wake up a little bit. So yeah, it was a good introduction.
I do like what you mentioned there, where what is happening is terrifying, right? He's on a spaceship in the middle of space, God knows where. Everyone in his crew is dead. He doesn't seem to know who he is, where he is, what he's doing, anything. But it is pretty funny, right? And it does set the tone. It's funny in like the way that he like flops off the table and he's crawling around and he's screaming and he's it's just like everything that's happening, he's reacting in a funny way, which is a lot of Gosling just doing his thing, right? But it does set the tone for how this movie is going to be, because it is pretty funny throughout, even though the subject matter itself is nowhere near funny. So I did enjoy the opening quite a bit. I guess we'll do a character draft. It's kind of a tough one.
It is a bit of a tough one, but
there's not a ton of characters. But let's get a character draft in. For the audience, if you don't understand the character draft, what we're doing here, it's just a cheap, easy way for us to talk about the most important characters without doing it throughout the episode. This just lets us know, who we're talking about, who the main players are, and it's a nice way for us to kind of essentially rank our favorite characters, right? So we're drafting our favorite characters / the best characters. There's no real criteria. It's just if you were building, if you were building a team out of the characters in this movie, in what order would you draft them in? And so we like to start this off with a selection of a random number 1 through 25. Lane, I'll let you pick the first number.
7, please.
Fuchs.
18.
Let's go right in the middle of the two of you, or middle-ish. I'll go 13. And our random number is 13. Look at me go. So that makes Keith second.
My math is mathing.
And Lane will be last. That means Lane gets the 2 in a row. This is a snake style draft here. I think I'm gonna go. Oh, I don't know if it's off brand or not, but I'm gonna go with Rocky as our number 1 character.
Yeah.
I think that there's probably 2 choices, but I'll go with Rocky. He is the scientist from the other planet. He is what are they called?
Aridin or something like that.
Arid is their Earth. He's an Iridian. He's basically like a rock spider thing. Right?
Crab.
Yeah. Like he's more like a crab than a spider. He's like a giant rock crab thing who doesn't really have a face or anything.
Oh, rock lobster.
He's got like fingers. He can like build metal into like anything. He is very smart, like has an unbelievable ability to process and memorize, and just like I don't know, his ship is badass. Like whatever his alien species is, they're quite advanced, but at the same time not that advanced, right? As we figure out, like they don't understand quite some of the things that humans have figured out, even though they've figured out way more in other areas. He's pretty funny, right? Because we get to learn about him. We throughout the movie get to understand him basically through English, through a translation method. We get to understand that he is very heroic. He has a love interest back at home. He's just kind of an awesome character. He's a little bit childish almost, but in a charming way, right? So I think Rocky is going to be my first pick.
I respect that. I had a feeling Rocky would go first.
He's fun. He's fun.
Look, there's other characters. They're too minor to pick this high. I have to go with Gosling.
You got to go chalk here. Yeah.
Dr. Grace, got to go chalk. I want to have a Gosling discussion later on.
Oh, we will.
I know. I figured we would. But yeah, I mean, he's a fucking middle school science teacher who wrote some fucking paper, dissertation, whatever it was, for his fucking PhD, his doctorate, that is relevant to whatever the species is that is eating the sun, and he's called upon to action. It was goofy. I think that's an important part of this movie is the lightheartedness and the goofiness, and that fit Ryan Gosling's style. It fit his character, and he played it well, and it was a good character, a very good character. So I'll take him number 2.
Yeah, I like it, and I think if you're going to be the main focus of what the movie is, I mean, they did Rocky via a puppet, but you're really the only person that's in the movie for most of it, right? And so I think it takes a strong leading man like the Goss. So I'm excited to talk about that later. For my pick, I will pick Sandra Hüller from she was from Anatomy of a Fall, and she plays the military captain or something like that. I just couldn't.
Zone of Interest and Anatomy of a Fall.
I completely just put
Zone
of Interest.
She had a big year that year that we hated her movies.
Yeah, this isn't quite that good, her performance, but I did like that there was a little bit of depth. We kind of learned a little bit more, spoilers, that she poisons him or puts him to sleep and really forces him onto this mission, which I thought was kind of an interesting turn. But because she did it, because she believed in him, and so it kind of makes sense why she did it. She believed him even when he didn't believe in himself, which I thought was just kind of a fun, interesting twist to the flick. For my next pick, I'm going to go with the Astrophage. They are, kind of the
Well done.
villain of
Well
the
done.
movie. Yeah. I think it's an interesting villain. They're just, circle of life kind of shit. They're just eating energy, trying to survive as a species. They don't really they aren't like a presence in the movie, even though they're going to kill off humanity in 30 years. It is like this big, deep, dark threat. Like, as we mentioned, if the tone of the movie was different, which could be very scary, but they kind of do a good job of making it lighthearted, but also adaptable. They can fight through the container that they have them in. They're, eating the earth. They're getting attacked by this other thing. It was a fun kind of rabbit or goose chase that they took us on with this astrophage. I thought it was very, very interesting.
Yeah, that's a good call. The astrophage was a character. So, Luke, I have a question for you.
All right.
Lane did not remember or does not know why I named myself Carl. Do you?
Well, yes, sure.
Because there was a character named Carl.
Sure.
The
Yeah.
black guy in the beginning with Ryan Gosling, who's doing all the testing with him. And
very obvious
the first people that he met.
Selection here.
This is what happens
stage in the draft.
This is what happens when you have 3 24-ounce beers in the first half an hour of the movie.
Right.
You forget important characters, Lane.
At the beginning of the movie.
Yes, exactly. And he was in the beginning. So he's my second pick. I just thought he was pretty damn funny. Him and Gosling's back and forth as Ryan Gosling is trying to figure out the whole astrophage situation and why they're going to Venus. He helps them. They go shopping together at a home improvement store, a Lowe's or Home Depot of some sort. And they have some good little comedic scenes together. He's pretty funny, and I enjoyed it.
They build the little mini Venus, and
they built a mini Venus. Yeah,
he kind of is like the springboard, for a lot of Grace's ideas, right? Like,
exactly.
He asks him, what he would do, in this situation, that situation, and he's kind of trying to blow him off, and then his answers end up actually being, super helpful and like kind of spark ideas. And they, he's really one of the most important characters.
Exactly.
Not about
he
it.
also has a great line when Ryan Gosling says, "Are you sitting down?" And he says, "No, I'm standing up. I'm a grown ass man."
Yep.
And then Gosling tells him that they birthed another astrophage, and he goes, "Now I'm sitting down."
Yeah.
So
He did
good old Carl.
Yeah, he had a lot of really funny kind of one-liners and good stuff there. I don't know that there's any other characters that are really worth drafting at this point.
I got one to shout out for you.
Who do you got?
How about the AT&T girl?
Yes.
Yep, she's in this. Milana Vajentrub.
Nailed it.
Yeah, whatever. I'm gonna select as my last character the hero of the story, the Tau amoeba.
There we go.
Which we're gonna get more into. It's basically the microorganism that is the predator of the astrophage. The thing that eats it and kills it, and obviously is gonna be the savior of our story here. All right, boys. That's the character draft. So we kind of know where we're at. Man, there's so many different directions to go. Let's just start here because did you guys know what this movie was about at all? What were your thoughts? What were your expectations? What were your understandings of this movie going in, Lane?
Yeah, all I knew about the movie was that it was written by the same author. I think it's Andy Weir is his name. He also wrote The Martian. I did watch The Martian recently, and I was really a big fan of that. So I knew that it was kind of in that vein. And that's really all I knew. And I knew it was a Ryan Gosling flick, and there was a lot of chatter about it. So I had some expectations, but I didn't really know what we were getting into. But it was a fun ride. And if you don't know anything about it, I do recommend that you keep it that way.
Future?
Yeah, I'd seen a little bit of promotion about it. I basically knew that it was Ryan Gosling going on a fucking space journey. Just save the world.
Yeah, that's about all I knew as well. So yeah, I went in with very little like understanding or expectations. I was talking to my parents and my sister about it today, all of whom have read or listened to the audiobook of the book.
Oh, okay.
And so they were very excited to go see it because they were familiar with the story, and they all kind of felt like I think they had a little bit of a different perspective of like seeing it and thinking if you hadn't read the book, you wouldn't know what's going on. And so they were all kind
Fair.
of surprised to hear that I was like, yeah, I knew what was going on. Like I understood it, for the most part. Because they just kind of thought that watching it without the benefit of the book knowledge would have been confusing. Did you guys, high level, were you guys confused? Did you know what was going on in this movie?
I will say I wasn't for a little bit there. It was more of a not confusion, but it was like, where are we going? What are we doing with this? That was kind of more my thought. It wasn't a confusion, especially like when he first sees Rocky's ship and it's like basically mirroring everything he does, and then I'm thinking, did Earth send another ship? Is he supposed to attach to this and like as part of the mission? He just doesn't know about it, doesn't remember, and then Rocky's introduced, and it's kind of I mean, it helps explain obviously, but yeah, for a little bit there, it wasn't as much confusion as a like, where are we going here? What are we doing? That's more of what it was. But yeah, I don't, book readers always have differing opinions on the movies.
That's just an evergreen statement.
That's to be expected.
Lane, where were you high level understanding of the movie?
Yeah,
granted, you were 3 to 6 beers deep at various points in this movie.
I plead the fifth. What I will say is that I think I did a really good job of kind of following, okay, the reason why Tau Ceti isn't being eaten is because of this predator that eats the astrophage.
Yeah.
It's when that they try and put it in the container and they're sending it back and they realize that the predator can eat through the container and he needs to go back for Rocky. That, maybe the fact that it was
we'll dig a little deeper into that. Yeah.
But I think that's kind of where I got a little bit lost. And it might have been the fact it was 11:30 at night or so, but I think that is a spot where I was like,
okay. So let's circle back to that I want to talk about that discovery because I think that's a big part of it. For sure. I have something in my mind. I've kind of had a topic in my mind that I want to discuss. And this is not a game, but just a little. I want to kind of quiz you guys and see where you are. There were 3 movies that I had in mind that I felt like this movie was a combination of. And I think 2 of them are fairly obvious. The third, I think, is the most fun to maybe discuss. I'll let you guys kind of, work together on this to try to guess the 3 movies that I'm thinking of that this movie is a combination of.
Can I make the first guess? Interstellar?
Yes. Interstellar is one. Clearly the Interstellar is one, right? Something is happening to Earth that is threatening the long-term viability of human life on Earth, and we have to go into space to find the solution. Interstellar is one.
I got nothing. We need like a buddy alien movie. Right?
We've done one of them on this podcast. It's a very, very obvious. I don't know if it's very obvious, but
the Space
2001: A Space Odyssey.
No. That's not what I'm thinking. The one I'm thinking,
you guys should all watch on Spotify.
Right. Well, you guys should go back. The one I'm thinking, very important elements from that movie to this movie that are similar.
Arrival.
That's the one.
That is. I also thought of Arrival in this
right?
movie. Yes, I did.
Contact with alien life.
Trying to translate languages.
Figuring out how to communicate with an alien.
Yes.
That is a big part of this movie. That was a big part of that movie. So those are the 2. So, I mean, from, okay. Earth is in danger. We got to go into space to figure out how to save Earth. That's like element 1. Element 2, how do we communicate with alien life, not understanding each other's language, is 2. The third, this one I kind of wasn't sure what the best answer was.
How do we get home?
Okay, that's not bad. What I was more thinking of was movies that have to do with the buddy relationship.
Like a Rush Hour.
E.T.
Okay. E.T. was one that I had in mind. The other one that I kind of have in mind is Guardians of the Galaxy.
Ah, love that. Love
right? Kind of the Groot thing where like Groot just says, I am Groot, but then the Rocket.
Everyone knows what he's saying.
Yeah, and Rocket can understand him and he understands. So I don't know. The 3 movies I had in mind specifically were yes, Interstellar,
movie I thought
Arrival, and then either E.T. or Guardians of the Galaxy in some.
And this is nothing to do with this movie or why, except that it's a space movie, but just a movie. This is totally off topic, by the way. I'm sorry, I'm going on a tangent here, boys, but I think you'll appreciate it. This is a movie that was a big time movie when we were kids. That is just kind
Galaxy
of
Quest.
off the radar now. No, not Galaxy Quest. It's something I haven't heard about this movie in so long, and it was actually a really good movie. It was a big time movie when we were kids. Space movie. You don't need to guess it. I can just tell you. Armageddon.
Oh, fantastic movie.
Armageddon is an amazing fucking movie, but it's never brought up in the.
I think when I was 9 years old, I would have said Armageddon was my favorite movie.
It's an amazing
it's amazing.
movie.
And then Gladiator came out when we were like 10, and then Gladiator became my favorite.
I was sitting there in the theater, and I don't remember at which point it was, but I was thinking, man, Armageddon was a great fucking space movie. And nobody talks about it anymore.
Armageddon fucking slaps, dude.
Yeah, it was
so
incredible. Good. Anyway, that's my tangent. Shut up. Maybe we should watch Armageddon for an
episode. The cast and crew of Armageddon is unreal.
And the soundtrack.
Oh, the soundtrack
is top notch. God,
I mean, there haven't been many humans in the history of the earth who have been hotter than Liv Tyler in Armageddon. That's just a fact. I don't know what you want me to do. All right. So those are kind of the movies I wanted to talk about as kind of like what I was thinking about when I was watching this movie. Lane, is there any way that you could have ever seen yourself being an astronaut?
Absolutely not. I don't think I'm cut out for having my feet off of the ground. So that involves any kind of board or gliding surface, airplanes. That includes space launches. We did just watch God damn it, not the Apollo 2, the Artemis 2 launch to do the moon circulation. They're just going to go around it and say what's up. So I thought that was kind of interesting timing for this. But yeah, I'm not much of a space person, too big for that. But my God, it was incredible to watch, especially doing this moon landing. I mean, it's just a beam of fire, just pure raw power. It was so impressive. And I couldn't imagine being strapped into a seat on top of that. Unbelievable.
Keith, you think you're cut out for space life?
I mean, no, first of all, if I'm being real with myself. It's such a mixed feeling because I was thinking of this during the movie because I think it would be absolutely fucking incredible to go to space and look down like on Earth. But the thought of being in open space scares the bejesus out of me. Much like the ocean.
Insanely terrifying.
I think of the ocean in the same way. Like if I'm in the middle of the ocean and there's nothing but water around me, no land in sight, it scares the bejesus out of me. Or would scare the bejesus out of me. If I was in space with just nothing but stars and empty space, I would fucking be scared out of my mind. So yeah, it's kind of a mixed bag. I do think it would be really cool. Unfortunately, I'm horrific at science, which is why I'm not a doctor as well. So I was never cut out to be an astronaut that way. So
Yeah, part of this may be the degenerate in me, and part of it is just the sports fan in me. But like, it's also like a reason I could never even live in Hawaii, But I'm gonna go into a coma for 4 years, and then I gotta wake up and be like, who won the last 4 Super Bowls?
And you missed them all.
Yeah, and like, oh, my fantasy team was auto drafted 4 years in a row, and my quarterback was hurt, and we didn't put in a replacement for 4 years, and I got last place 4 years in a row. Like, I
see, that
can't.
is assuming that you were put into a coma like the character of this movie. The
But
other
even
astronauts,
still,
like the guys on Artemis 2, they're not, or the guys and gals on Artemis 2, they're not put in a coma. They're fucking kicking it up there in space right now.
yeah. But do you think they can update
Drafting their
fantasy
teams.
lineups?
Yay! It's 2026, man. They don't have Wi-Fi on that.
You think they got Wi-Fi?
There's satellites all up
If
there.
there's Wi-Fi, I might be able to do it. But I also think my fellow scientists might get a little annoyed with me. They're like, "Hey,
man, we
check the fuel levels.
We have shit to explore. We have, we gotta like.
Yeah, I'm like, but Michigan is. I got to decide whether to cash out. And they're like, okay, but we're gonna die if you don't do this. Like, well,
settle down, Rocky.
Important here, right? So
let's just say the three of us were not meant for life and death missions.
That's true. I don't think I was meant for that. All right. So one of the things I wanted to talk about was just kind of something that Lane already hit on the first scenes thing of the kind of mystery of the movie and waking up not knowing what's going on. So I think you did a good job on that. I think the next big topic is like just the science in the movie. Right? So basically we have Grace, who is like a middle school teacher at this point. We find out that he is kind of like a disgraced scientist of sorts.
I think he just challenged, what was it, that you don't need life, you don't need water to have life on a planet, was the thing that he challenged.
It was,
and they're looking for somebody who's going to push the boundaries.
Yeah, he wrote a paper that was like
widely
described. It's not crazy to think that there could be life that doesn't include water.
Yeah,
was basically his thought, and I think that thought and maybe the way that his like research approached that thought and then his unwillingness to back down from that like position kind of led to his demise as like a famous scientist kind of guy. But basically we find out, through him talking to his class that there was a discovery of like some strand of light going from the sun to Venus. And at some point they sent a probe up there to figure out what this light was. And they figured out the light was like these little amoeba, these like a living thing, which they just, called astrophage. And we basically learned that whatever this astrophage is draining the sun of its power. It's dimming the sun. It's eating the sun, essentially. The dots, as the kids call them. And, if the sun is becoming less powerful and dimming, that means that less UV and heat is going to Earth, and that will make Earth colder. And if Earth gets colder, that means that crops are going to die, food is going to run out, and essentially Earth is going to die. Did we follow all that? Was none of that was like confusing, right? I feel like the movie presented that in a super clear way.
Yeah, and I think that it did a really good job of doing that, but also not holding your hand and like spoon feeding you. When we did the rip with Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, I think we talked about how they're going to have to reiterate plot points in movies, especially movies that come out on Netflix, because people are usually on their phone, not paying attention, what have you. So it was really good to see a movie like this where they didn't really hold your hand. They're throwing these big scientific topics at you and expecting you to just kind of follow along. And even if you don't necessarily get this one exact specific thing, It doesn't really matter. This is a fun buddy cop movie, and there is some deeper science into it. There's a predator, there's a prey. These guys are eating the sun. A bigger thing is eating them. And then they're eating the metal. It's all kind of just a circle of life. Fun. I think Rocky and the relationship with Grace was just a fun highlight, but the science was a interesting part of the movie, similar to The Martian, where it was all pretty accurate for the most part.
So I think that was all. Yeah, I think that was all clear. We then find out that like, okay, all the stars that we can observe are being like infected by this. It's like a virus, but there's one star that's not. So let's go there and figure out what's going on, right? And so we have this other big part of the movie that he's figuring out in flashbacks of how he ended up here. And basically like he kind of stumbles into being like an important scientist in this discovery where there's this like organization of all the like smartest people in the world working together to figure out what's going on. He kind of stumbles into being like a big part of that. And then there's an accident and people die, and so no one is like capable or smart enough or good enough to go, so he ends up going. We mentioned that earlier of how he kind of gets tricked into going or like forced into going. So anyway, so he ends up going to this this system, and then there is the encounter with a space alien, right? And it's kind of this really funny scene. It's almost like it's kind of Star Wars-esque, maybe like the Star Wars spin-offs that are a little bit, more funny, whatever, kind of lighthearted, where the spaceship just like shows up and it's kind of following him around and he's trying to get away from it. And then there's the scene where it's trying to throw like a message at him and he's trying to figure out what the message is. And we just kind of have this very, like what I thought about was Arrival, right? The contact with the alien and trying to figure out how to communicate with each other. The alien is clearly more advanced in certain ways. So Keith, what did you think about just kind of the way that they make contact and the way that they start building, communication?
I mean, I think at first, and this is going back to our where you confused conversation, like when the little, what are they, tubes basically that he's sending. That's where I was like, who is this something from Earth that they have sent up there? That now he has a message that he has to like catch and then relay this and figure out a new part of the mission, something like that. So it was a bit confusing from that standpoint. It was more, I mean, the introduction to Rocky was interesting. I think my biggest question was, so first of all, when he gets the message, he figures out it's that this tube is made out of zenite,
something,
which is a gas on Earth, but now it's a solid. And so basically, he's like, left is right, up is down, righty loosey, lefty tighty.
Yeah,
everything is backwards. But then at the same time, Rocky figures out that he needs oxygen to breathe, or just knows that he needs oxygen to breathe because he set the whole passageway between the two ships and tells him, take your helmet off. And eventually he does. I mean, it was just an interesting introduction. I think the movie had been lighthearted enough at that point that you figured it wasn't going to be anything sinister.
Yeah. And I think the design of Rocky is a good reason for that. I mean, it's not like we're looking at, Alien from Alien, where he's got a big long tail and a big long head and
a little fucking crab type.
He's
Rocky.
A little, he's a little lovable.
Exactly.
He's
very lovable,
but not really. Like, I think it's a really fun
He's not
design.
threatening.
Exactly.
He's pretty ET-esque in that way.
Exactly.
Where it's,
Mm-hmm. And so I think that, as we kind of discussed a few times here, is that they do a really good job of matching the tone with, hey, this is serious, this is important, you should care about this. but also we're going to have some fun along the way. And it's not necessarily just going to be quips, because we're all kind of tired of those through Marvel movies and Star Wars. They did a good job of adding humor, but not cheap one-liners, I felt like.
I mean, the relationship between Grace and Rocky was, it wasn't cheap one-liners, but it was kind of, at a certain point, it got over the top.
Because you're my best friend.
Yeah. There was, so I wanted to mention that later on about, well, I'll just mention it now. A lot of the music in this movie, very on the nose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was one thing. If there was a couple things that I could nitpick in the movie, one was that the music, every song, down to the karaoke song that she sings, and like every song, everything was just so on the nose, and it was almost a little like, okay, we get it. Like yeah, okay, I get it. My other primary frustration, though, was with the communication between Rocky and Grace.
There's my next point.
Because it's like, on the one hand, Grace is going through some pretty painstaking like measures to figure out what Rocky is saying, right? He's got his software and he's recording the sound, and he's having the software turn the sound into words, and then he has this translator. But then Rocky just understands English.
So Rocky understands English. That was my first beef.
Right.
But secondly, like, I understand that he has a software that can translate shit, but how does the software have any fucking clue what the language that Rocky is speaking and can translate it? Like, it was just too simple of a
right. I mean, at least on that side, though, there was like some due diligence being done, right? Where he's like, okay, he knows that he's identifying this number, and that, or he's identifying his name.
There's a baseline.
Right, there was a baseline, and then it got to be kind of easy. But like on the flip side, it was like, okay, so then Rocky just understands English, though.
Yeah.
So like, why?
He just knows all these things about humans.
Right, exactly. And like you mentioned, it's like, how did he just understand that he needed oxygen to breathe? How did he just like? So that was a little bit of a that felt like a little bit of a hole. But
it also is a lot of these alien movies. They always like, aliens somehow always know everything about humans, and we know nothing about them.
So it's a bit of a nitpick. It's not the biggest deal in the world.
Yeah,
it's if you take this movie for like being the lighthearted, fun kind of journey that it really is, and you don't think too hard about it, none of that matters. Yeah. But if you kind of think about it a little bit, it's like, well, really, he just understands English? That's strange.
I don't know. I feel like, Lane, you gotta have a thought on this.
Yeah, I think it is a little weird, and it's pretty sudden, and that, not only that, they just take it really far, and they're doing dance moves and thumbs up and thumbs. That wasn't the focus.
But even that,
wasn't
like,
Arrival. It was
mimicking movement. Sure,
is one thing.
But then,
I mean, eventually, spoilers. He's teaching kids at the end. Like, it was just, I think they did take it a little far. This was a lighthearted movie. This wasn't Arrival. Even though there are hints of that, I don't think they're trying to focus too much on that aspect of the movie. I think it's more focused on the bigger picture.
So let's get into another of the, like, kind of, did we understand the kind of science stuff? Were you guys totally on board and understanding how they saved the world part of this? I kind of don't really.
He sent some shit back, like he AOL messaged it or something,
Well, okay, so they go to this one planet, and they're like, okay, but it does have the whatever Predator. The line thing. No, well, it had what is the Petrova line or whatever?
Petrova line.
Yeah.
But then there's this other planet over here. And this planet has the Predator or something.
Yeah, I think that's what Venus is, where the astrophage was.
So they were going to Venus
breeding.
because it had CO, like carbon, or whatever. It had whatever element that they like to breed in.
Yeah.
Yes.
But then it's like whatever this Tau.
They're trying to figure out why the other planet has
There was
why
another.
the astrophage is not going to this other planet.
This other planet had something that the astrophage didn't like, but then because that planet was near that sun, that made them not. So was that like whatever those predators were just like coming out into the space and killing? I don't really. I didn't 100% understand it.
I was
is all I'm
basically
saying.
just assuming that if the astrophage went to that planet, they would die, so they just avoided it. I think that's kind of which is why Grace and Rocky collected the samples and breeded those to bring them back to their respective planets, so that they would have a predator that the astrophage would avoid their planets for.
Yeah.
Or then we can
we'll just assume it makes sense.
More importantly, they could shoot up to the sun, which is kind of this is again where the science kind of gets, because the problem is the astrophage is eating the sun, so they would want the predator to be on the sun so they stop eating the sun.
Right.
Okay.
It's a kind of combination of everything. Yeah.
I'll accept it.
Sure.
Okay. I had on here to talk about kind of the decision to like sacrifice yourself. He was kind of forced into that decision, so I don't know if there's that much to talk about there. And then I guess my other question was, what did you guys think about kind of the twist at the end where he decides? I mean, it was kind of two-phased, right? Where one, Rocky offered him up his astrophage fuel, whatever, so that he could get home, even though that would mean it would take more time for Rocky to get home. And then there was a breach because whatever they were storing the Taumiba in, the Taumiba could get through it, and Rocky's entire ship was made out of this, so there was no way for him to like contain it.
The fuel was made from the astrophage,
right?
So if the predator gets into the astrophage, it's also going to eat their fuel source,
right? And so he figured out that Rocky was basically screwed and was going to be stranded and killed. So instead of going home, he decided to go get Rocky, which that was another one that really gave me some Guardians of the Galaxy vibes.
Well, I think this movie, it does a lot of flashbacks in this movie, and all the flashbacks that we see, because this is a non-linear storytelling. All the flashbacks that we see are not of Ryan Gosling with a woman or a wife or a boyfriend or a husband or a kid or any really loved ones. All the flashbacks are him with like students doing his job, or with the government doing this whole research part of it. So the movie never showed us that he had anyone back home.
He talks about it when Rocky has a mate, and he says he basically had a girlfriend who ditched him, dumped him, and is dating someone else. So he's alone.
So he's just, we all think of the vast world and how it'd be so great to look upon the stars, but then you actually meet a creature and you have this bond somehow. Like, it makes sense why he sacrificed himself, and there's a way for him to get back eventually, but why not go hang out with the aliens? And especially if you can communicate, hey, why the hell not? It was a fine little fun ending.
Okay. I thought it was kind of pointless and dumb.
I thought it was
for sure.
Yeah.
But again, I think it's the tone. I think that, the tone doesn't set it up to be too serious. It's like a buddy. Yeah. It's like a buddy cop.
Yeah. I guess this kind of gets into my other like primary beef of the movie is that it's very long.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 2 hours, 36 minutes. Very long movie. Right. And there was a lot of stuff that I think they did that it's like, okay, I don't know that we needed that. I don't know that I needed to see the like chief scientist person singing karaoke.
Yeah.
I don't know that I needed so many things that happened in this movie. And then it's like, it could have just ended where it's like, okay, we win. You're going back to your planet. I'm going back to my planet. Like,
we did. We worked together.
And it's like, well, no, but we got a whole extra 15 minutes about him going to save Rocky, and then him going to Rocky's planet where Rocky's people have created like a a bubble land for him to live in on a beach where he can teach.
Well, and it's just
And
very,
just at
very
that point,
corny.
True, and 2 hours and 25 minutes in the movie,
Yeah.
being like corny like that, I was just like, I'm not.
It was drawn out and it was
Not into
corny,
this.
and it's like, okay, I mean, come on now. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Especially if you're going to introduce Rocky being able to give him more fuel to get home now, and then he's just going to backtrack and then end up on like there's just it was just corny. It was added too much time. I'm with you there. I think that's kind of my beef with the movie is the lightheartedness is too much.
Yeah.
If you're going to give me 2.5 hours of a fucking space journey, I was going into this movie thinking it was going to be more serious.
Right, which is where like it diverges from a movie like Interstellar
or
Arrival,
Interstellar or any of the movies we talk about.
Yeah. So, yeah. All right, boys. That's about all I got.
We need a
You guys
Gosling.
got anything else? Oh, you want to talk Gosling?
I want to get your thoughts on Gosling. Where does he rank? How do you feel about him? Because he's a big movie star. But we've had these discussions before when it comes to Leo and Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise. Where does Gosling fall in that realm of movie star for you guys?
I think it's safe that you could safely put Gosling in the top dozen leading men. I think that's there's arguments to maybe be higher. I don't think there's arguments to be much lower, but I think he's in at least the top dozen of modern male movie stars. As I mentioned, to be able to carry a movie like this because it is so much of him. He is on screen for most of the 2.5 hours. You need to be invested in him as not just a character, but an actor. And I think he does a good job of making you believe that he is Ryland Grace and not, just Gosling. So I thought this was an awesome performance, especially coming off of Barbie. I think was his last big role, at least that I remember. So I think this was a very interesting next role for him. I loved it.
Yeah, I mean Gosling right now is A+ movie star, right? Like if he's in something, everybody's gonna watch it. It's gonna be huge. I'm not saying commenting on how good of an actor he is or isn't. I think he's very good. I think he's awesome. I think he's got really sneaky range, right? Because he can do a movie like this. He could also be Ken in Barbie. He could also be, kind of like a darker person, like in The Gray Man or Place Beyond the Pines. He can be the face of a rom-com, even a one like a La La Land, or obviously going back to like The Notebook and those kinds of things. Like I think he's got pretty insane range, and everything's in kind of fucking rules. So Gosling is awesome, and I think that Gosling just being Gosling kind of set the tone for this movie, right? Like I don't think a lot of the stuff that was supposed to be kind of lighthearted and funny would actually have been funny or like landed if it wasn't Gosling.
Yeah, the only other person could have been like John Krasinski. Like it's a very limited amount of people who could have played this
right.
role,
He's kind of and even if it was him, it I don't know that I buy it quite as much.
It's funny that you bring that. I almost think that is. I think that's what sets him apart in this way. I think because this movie, you want it to be more serious, right? Like McConaughey in Interstellar, very serious.
Yes, very sad.
And I feel like I wanted this movie to be more like that, but like Gosling is good at making it more lighthearted while still bringing like an impactful performance.
Yeah, he's too hot for it to be too sad.
But and the more movies you mentioned, and the reason I brought this up is because I was gonna say I feel like Gosling is almost at a point where like he's only doing lighthearted things, but then you think back to a lot of the movies that he's done, like The Notebook is not lighthearted at all.
Place Beyond the Pines, not super lighthearted.
Not lighthearted at all.
Drive.
Drive.
Yeah. Blade Runner 2049, which isn't my favorite movie ever, but it's still a pretty serious fucking role, and he was good in it. Here's the question, and we can make this quick. One word answer. Is he overrated, underrated, or properly rated?
I think Ryan Gosling is properly rated. I think he gets the love that he deserves. He's been in our lives a long time. He was like there's the videos of him like tap dancing as a young kid on like the Disney.
Corner. Fucking remember that.
Well, we'll never forget what a liability he was.
And he's been around for so long, and to see him do so many different things, and for us to not like get sick of him or him not have really any big scandals that I'm familiar with, I think he's very likable. I think he fit well into this lighthearted role. Properly rated. I think everyone loves him.
I think that Lane is probably right. He's probably in the properly rated category. If he were to skew one way or the other, it would be on the underrated side. I don't think he's overrated. I think that any praise and love he gets is fully deserved, and he actually might be better than we kind of think he is, because I think some people may still lump him into that like leading man in a rom-com role, where clearly he has way more range than that.
I will agree with that. I like that we did this, because I too think it's probably more properly rated, but I do also kind of lean overrated, because when you think of leading man and like the top leading men, Leo is one.
Well, sure.
Brad Pitt, Tom Cruise. I think that granted, I love.
We're not saying he's tier one though necessarily.
But that's no. I think a lot of people want to put him in that class, and I don't think that he is.
I agree.
I think he's a tier, maybe 2 tiers below that class. I think a lot of people, like when this movie was coming out, there was a lot of hype about Gosling in this space epic. And I don't have the same feel, even watching the movie, that I would McConaughey in Interstellar.
Yeah.
So I think it's properly rated. Fair. I do think there's just in my own opinion, or maybe just my own bubble of what I see online.
Yeah, that's true. We do live in.
I still love the guy.
Our own interesting little bubbles. Yeah. All right. Let's move on from this movie.
Let's move on, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. We've chatted movie. Now we need to chat financials. Wait, we talked movie. Now we need to talk money. There's the line. So we are going to throw it to our money man, Lucas Walker. Please make the dollars make sense in the financial corner.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have a pretty expensive movie here, which I think that you guys probably could have guessed. Which is interesting for when time of year this movie came out, right? We have a reported production budget of about 200 million. Pretty big one.
Yeah.
There's some sources that think that maybe it could have even been closer to the $250 million range.
Yeah,
let's just call it
marketing, right? Just production.
Right. Let's just call it a $200 million budget. Just for kind of simplicity's sake. Opening weekend in the United States and Canada for this movie, $80 million.
Okay.
Pretty damn good for a movie in 2026, because people don't really go to movies. So it did a little bit less than half of its budget in the first weekend. Gross worldwide to date, and this is a movie that has been out for, I don't know, a month or so, $300 million. So this movie has made about 1.5x its budget in a short period of time. It's going to continue to add to that total. Obviously, we went to a packed theater So I think this movie, people are going to see this movie in theaters. We're gonna give it an A-, but that is pending extra credit.
I like that. And it makes sense. I mean, it's just a big, original, new, fun space movie. I think there's hard not to recommend this to people, especially after just coming off all those Oscar flicks. And is this thing on? I think this is a movie for everybody, unlike some of the things we've been watching somewhat recently. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you ready to talk beer?
Oh, am I ready? I'm fucking thirsty. And it's been a while. I'm on my 4th beer here, and I haven't been to the beer corner in a while. I haven't seen my favorite barkeep. I haven't learned about the beer that I'm drinking. I want to go sit next to him. I want to have a few sips. I want to learn all about this Sunglider. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go to the beer corner with my main man, Late Good.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to the Beer Corner. This week, again, we are drinking Sunglider out of Firestone Walker Brewing Company out of California. This is a 5% ABV coming in at 16 IBUs, a nice light, not too bitter beer. And this is my favorite stat. I don't know if we've ever seen it before, but the color there, Keith, is 3.5. So whatever that means, it's locally grown, locally brewed, and sustainably made. We got a fun little, I don't even know what you would call this. Not a, I mean, it's a diagram, but I don't know exactly what it is. But a ton of different flavors that you would rate this beer. It leans a lot towards white bread and lemongrass. There's also things like banana, grassy, toasted bread, malty, spicy, herbal, sweet, and apple. But this is again white bread and lemongrass. So I'm not sure if you got that on your palate. Behind the beer, it's a golden Helles style lager inspired by the classic pale lagers of Munich and brewed with local Atlas barley grown in the Central Valley and floor malted at Admiral Malt in Alameda. Floral and grassy notes from the Willamette hops grown in Goish Farms in Oregon add a delicate balance to the aromatic profile and a mild bitterness. Crisp, light, and crushable, Sunglider is the perfect beer to keep you refreshed as we welcome the warmer spring weather and head into the heat of summer, which again is why I went with one of these light beers. I thought maybe dark beer this week, but no. I wanted a light because we're getting into that season. Here are the 2 hops, Willamette and Hallertau Tradition. Malt, Sunglider uses Admiral Atlas Pills, RAR, North Star Pills, Pacific Victor, and It's Chit Malt. Yeast, Sunglider uses 3470 German lager yeast. For the brewery itself, it's been around for about 25 years. They kind of started in the back of a family vineyard, and then it was 2 brothers. One of them had the nickname the Bear and the other the Lion, which I thought was kind of cool. I think that leans into their logo, their company logo, which is pretty cool. But yeah, they started out with like darker beers that, go in wine barrels. And then obviously they went all over and did a bunch of different styles of beer. They do that like Mind Haze, which you'd recognize. They did have a few that would look familiar to you and listeners. One of the big changes was 2001. They moved to Paso Robles, California, and they had, and I quote, the perfect brewmaster at the perfect time, Matt Brindleson. Works as magic, and he earned the nickname Merlin, becoming world-renowned brewer. Let's see, they started in 1996. They do again serve nationwide, and I think that's really it. Oh, their motto is "Beer Before Glory," which you will see on the can there at the top if you are looking. So, "Beer Before Glory." I think that's a fun way to kind of say cheers. I like that as like a send off. So to you all out there listening, to you here in the podcast with me, beer before glory.
Beer before glory. It's almost like strength and honor.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was going for.
Or bros before hoes.
And so I think it's time to rate the beer. Lucas, you're our host this week. Who do you want to rate the beer first?
I'll rate it first because I'm
Beautiful.
enthusiastic about it.
Love it.
This is wonderful. This is a fantastic beer. I'm gonna give it a 9.5.
Holy cow.
I have a hard time imagining what more I could want from a beer. I mean, obviously it's not I'm not giving it a 10. So there is more because there are styles of beer that I just enjoy more. But not a whole lot of them. And it's warming up. Weather's warming up a little bit. This is a golden lager. That's what you kind of want to drink. You're sitting in the rays of the golden sun. I mean, this is wonderful. 5.0 ABV. I don't have a lot of nits to pick with this beer. It's pretty fantastic. I'm gonna go 9.5.
I'll go ahead and go next because I want to kind of not. I'm going the opposite of you, Lucas. I didn't
Oh,
love this beer.
unbelievable.
Maybe I got a bad batch. Maybe it's not the right temperature, but this wasn't crisp. This wasn't, and that's what I like in my light beers. I like it to be, I like it to go, and this was maybe a little flat. Didn't really have that kind of light beer pop that I was really looking for.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong, but I think that's what I like about it.
And there we go. And there's a ton of different beer tastes out there. But for me, I do agree that this is typically a beer that you'd want to drink on a light day, but I don't think that it has that at the end. And I don't know how to describe it better than that, but I think it's a good beer. Don't get me wrong, but it's just not anything special. And if I were to have a light beer, I think there's plenty of other options that we've had in our 122 episodes that I would lean towards. And so because of that, I will go with a 7. I think this was a good beer.
This is interesting. This is very interesting. I usually lean a bit more towards Lane's tastes in beers on this podcast and a lot less towards his movie takes.
Right. We can agree on that.
I have to just vehemently disagree with his beer take.
Yeah.
Lucas, I'm with you.
Yeah.
From my first sip of this beer, I thought this is a fucking good beer.
Yep. This is a man who knows what's up here.
Good, clean, fucking light golden lager is fucking perfect. Tastes great. Have thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm working on my 4th right now. This is fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic beer. I'm going to give it a 9. I honestly, halfway through my first one, I was thinking I should get some more of these for the summer.
Yeah.
I want some of these while I camp.
You're a Sunglider.
Dude, I'm a Sunglider. These are good beers. Yeah, I give it a 9. Lane, you're insane as usual.
Yep. Keith speaking my language. It was I knew that this was in the 9s from the very first sip.
Oh yeah.
And I'm on my 3rd and I've been on this podcast lately. I mean, I drank half of one beer on our last podcast. It was a pint, but I only drank half of it, and it was an IPA. This I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna drink a few of these.
Gonna get a little loose.
These are great.
Well, that's why we do the podcast. We're out here to explore. Well, I'm glad you boys enjoyed it, but now it's time to play America's favorite game.
Let's play America's favorite game. It's time for some rotten guesses, boys.
It's rotten guesses season. Lane or Keith did not have guesses on our first episode. This is only. Are we counting this as episode 2? Right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Officially. Yep.
Okay. I'm gonna have Keith go then, since he has not guessed this season.
Yeah.
We'll then go Lane and myself.
I feel like this is gonna get rated really high. It was a very hyped movie. I feel like I've seen a lot of good things about it online. I feel like it's going to be higher than my score to give you a little preview. I'm going to go with an 88 for the critics and a 92 for the audience.
Oh, it's pretty high.
Wow, very high, huh?
It's fucking high.
88, 92 is pretty high.
Can I
Yeah,
also
I
say something
think
real
you're
quick?
in kind of the. Go for it.
Maybe this has brought down my thoughts on the movie. There was an ad for this movie that I saw on Twitter of Ryan Gosling throwing a football through a giant donut hole on a restaurant, and it was so completely and utterly fake, and Ryan Gosling has no idea how to actually throw a football that it might have brought my thoughts down. That's all I have to say. Anyway,
That is fair. That's a fair criticism. It's tough to unsee somebody throw badly.
but when you think about Ryan Gosling's history, he grew up in the arts and theater. He probably never played the sport of football or threw a ball in real life in his life. So I'll give him
we're meant to think he was at one point a starting cornerback for
you were meant to think, but he was
TC Williams High School, which
anyway, the guy can't throw for shit.
finished runner-up national champions, and we all know he was a liability at corner. But
Anyway, if that affects your Rotten Tomato guesses,
there's a reason he was playing corner and not quarterback. I guess I don't know. It's hard to unsee that.
It's still I can still see it.
It's hard to be like friends with somebody who you see him throw a ball and you're like,
you lose a little respect from me.
Yeah, I can't.
You can't throw a goddamn football.
I can't relate to you at all.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I'm going to go a little bit lower on the critics. I think it sounds like all of us have some nitpicks and some things we didn't like about the movie. And I think the critics are going to see that as well. So I'll go an 81 for the critics, but I do think Keith's right with the audience being a little bit higher. So I'll go an 87 for the audience. 81 critics, 87 audience.
Man, you guys are leaving me an interesting window with which to pounce upon, some points here because this Rotten Guesses is all about winning, right? It's not about what we think. It's all about getting the right scores. And you guys have left me a gap here in the mid 80s with which I think I can pounce, but do I think that is the proper score is the question. I'm going to go a little bit lower on the critics, actually, than Lane even. I'm going to go with a 77 on the critics. I think they're going to have some nits to pick with this, but I am going to go with a nice 85, 77, 85 tomato meter, popcorn meter.
Do you have
what
it
do
up?
You got?
I don't have it up.
I have it up.
Hit me with it.
This is pretty wild. You ready?
I'm ready.
Meter. 95.
Wow.
Well, the critics gave this a 95%. Are you ready for the audience?
Oh my!
It's going to be even higher. Hit me with
96.
Wow.
Jesus.
95, 96.
That is.
That's rich.
I'll give you a critics' consensus summary. A visually dazzling space odyssey that's carried along effortlessly by the gravitational pull of Ryan Gosling at his most winning. Project Hail Mary is a near miraculous fusion of smarts and heart.
Huh.
They call those sharks.
We did not mention the visuals. I will say, like when they're at the planet and Gosling is outside the ship and he has that was pretty fucking cool. There was a lot of good space visuals.
Yeah.
But mid 90s is.
Let me just I will say, and maybe this is unfair of me, but like when everything's CGI,
you can make everything look good.
Right. Like that's, of course, it looks good. It's all computer generated.
Up in space and take a real fucking visual of it.
Yeah. Like, of course, it's gonna look awesome. It's the computers making it look awesome. So, and yes, I agree. The visuals are fantastic. There's a lot of cool shit happening visually. Whew.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
Okay. Keith, why don't you give us your thoughts, your ranking on the movie because I think we're all going to come in lower than that 95, 96.
We are. It's always funny when you go to the theater because seeing a movie in the theater, especially a movie like this is one I feel like you should see in the theater. It's for the visuals and all that. But I feel like when you go to the theater, you either love a movie or you hate it. Like you're skewed on your viewpoint of it a little bit more than you would if you watched it at home because of that theater experience and your expectations. So when I left the theater, I had a pretty good feeling about the movie, but give a few days of thinking about it more and now talking about it on the podcast, I don't have the same feeling. I think I enjoyed the movie. There's a lot to like, but overall, I think the lightheartedness is kind of the part that threw it off for me. I think I wanted it. If you're going to give me a 2.5 hour space odyssey, I think I want it to either be very serious, like an Interstellar, especially if you're saving the world, or if you're going to go lighthearted, then let's just go fucking funny fucking let's go Guardians of the Galaxy. Let's fucking dive into the comedy and make it fun. And this was when they were getting the Predator from the planet and they really got serious, it started to feel fucking kind of epic. And that part to me was really fucking cool. But overall, I think it was too much of like a try to be a buddy fucking comedy, lighthearted thing while also being a serious thing that wasn't that serious. I'll give it like a 7.7.
Lane.
Keith, I'm going to echo a lot of the things that you have said here today. Did I have fun while watching it?
Yeah.
Yes. Did it need to be 2.5 hours? Not really. As much as I liked Gosling and thought it was fun riding along with him, I didn't really get attached to him as much as I got attached to Matt Damon being a lone survivor on the planet Mars and having to grow potatoes. And that was just such a more interesting style of movie. Not even just, side by side comparing them, but I'm trying to see something more like that does have a little bit more weight. It does have a little bit more life and death. And although this was fun and Rocky was cute and it's an alien that we've never seen before, and this is a pretty original idea that's not part of the Star Wars universe or some other, IP, which we love to see. And I'm glad that it's making money. And I did enjoy watching it. That doesn't mean that it was a great movie. I think that this was a good movie. I think it was a really good movie. And again, there are things to like, but there's a better movie in this playground. And so unfortunately, I think I need to dock it for that. You can't judge a movie on what you want it to be compared to what it is, but this was a good time, not a great time, and I have no desire to watch it again, especially not being in the theater. So I'm going to give it a 7.9. I thought this was a really good movie, but I do not think it was great.
I'm like somewhat relieved to hear your guys' rankings because I almost felt pressured by like the hype of this movie to like give in to the idea that this movie's great. And then we see the Rotten Tomatoes scores and be like, am I wrong that this movie wasn't like one of the greats? I think one thing I definitely thought about this movie was that I'm glad this movie was made. I'm glad that this movie exists. I'm glad that this is the type of movie that people can go to the theaters to see because those are the kinds of movies that we need. It's fun. It's original. It's not recycled IP. It's cool to visually to see in theaters and hear and be a part of. But there were problems with this movie. There were holes, and we mentioned the differences between books and movies and the adaptations and how things can go wrong. I think there was a few things they struck out on with this movie where it was long, and I think there was some things in this movie that we just didn't need. And it's like, if we have a movie that's too long and we have scenes that are several minutes long that we just don't need at all, like, what are we doing here? Right? And we could have devoted that time to stuff that would have advanced the movie or the story or the understanding of what was happening, and we didn't get that. But at the same time, Gosling was amazing. I think the story itself was very cool. I had a lot of fun with the movie, right? So I'm going to go a little bit higher than you guys, not too much higher. I'm going to go 8.3.
8.3.
I like the movie a lot.
No,
it's not.
I think the hype part of it is, like I almost
it's a real,
felt like
it's a real hype.
Should like it more.
Yeah,
but yeah,
if it had taken itself more seriously, I think it's a better movie.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is episode 122 of A Beer in Review. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you again next week for episode 123. Who the hell knows what we're going to watch, but we will be here with brews in hand. Keith, Luke, it's always a pleasure. Cheers.
Cheers, boys.